They were young, adventurous, and deeply in love. Vishnu Vishwanath and Meenakshi Murthy, a couple from India living in the United States, shared a passion for travel and photography. Their social media pages were filled with breathtaking images, mountain peaks, rooftop skylines, and edges of cliffs that seemed to touch the clouds. Their motto was simple: live life on the edge. But sometimes, the edge can be closer than it seems. In October 2018, they visited Yosemite National Park in California, one of the most stunning yet risky natural landscapes in the world. They hiked up to Taft Point, a location famous for its 3,000-foot drop and mesmerizing valley views. As the sun began to set, the couple set up their tripod to capture a beautiful shot together. Witnesses later recalled seeing them smiling, adjusting their camera, and stepping closer to the edge, just a little more, for the perfect frame. Then, in a tragic moment, they lost their footing and slipped beyond the ledge. Authorities later found their camera still standing on the cliff, its last photo showing the two of them holding hands, surrounded by golden light. Not long before that trip, Meenakshi had written something haunting on her Instagram. "We're all fans of daredevilry, but is our life worth one photo?" Her words turned into a painful reminder that sometimes, the best picture isn't worth the risk. Their story has since inspired countless travelers to respect nature's boundaries and think twice before pushing limits for social media. It started as an ordinary office demonstration. A confident man, a curious crowd, and a piece of glass he believed was stronger than steel. His name was Gary Hoy, a respected corporate lawyer in Toronto, Canada. He was well known for his humor, his intelligence, and his love for dramatic proof. One afternoon in 1993, as a group of interns gathered inside a high-rise meeting room, Gary decided to perform a trick he had shown many times before. He wanted to prove that the building's large glass windows were absolutely safe. Smiling, he said, "Don't worry, this glass can't break," and then ran toward it at full speed. The glass panel stayed intact, it didn't shatter, and everyone gasped in disbelief. Encouraged by the reaction, Gary stepped back to repeat his demonstration, laughing as he prepared for a second run. But this time, something went wrong. The window itself came loose from its frame. In a fraction of a second, the pane and Gary were pushed outward, shocking everyone inside. The tragic incident left his colleagues in disbelief. Building engineers later confirmed the glass had indeed not broken, it was the metal frame that failed. His story became one of the most talked about examples in corporate safety training across Canada, reminding professionals everywhere that even experts should never underestimate risk. Today, Gary Hoy's case is remembered not as a stunt gone wrong, but as a lesson in humility, a reminder that confidence, no matter how strong, should always be balanced with caution. It was supposed to be the video that made them famous. A daring challenge, a camera rolling, and a young couple chasing views in a world that rewards risk. In 2017, Pedro Ruiz and his partner Mona Lisa Perez, a couple from Minnesota, wanted to create something epic for their YouTube channel. They had been uploading small family vlogs and wanted one big stunt that could go viral. Pedro came up with an idea that he thought was clever, and completely safe. He would hold a large hardcover book against his chest, and Mona Lisa would fire a handgun from a short distance. Pedro believed the thick book would stop the bullet. He had even tested it on other books earlier, from a distance, and it seemed to work. As the camera started recording, he placed the book, smiled nervously, and told Mona Lisa, "It'll be fine. Trust me." But sometimes, trust isn't enough. When the shot was fired, the book couldn't handle the impact. Pedro collapsed instantly as the camera kept rolling, and the dream of internet fame turned into heartbreak. Mona Lisa, only 19 years old at the time, was devastated. She immediately called for help, and the incident soon became national news. Investigators later confirmed that the couple had planned the video purely for entertainment, never realizing how dangerous it truly was. Their story serves as a painful reminder that not everything that looks exciting on camera is worth the risk in real life. Views, likes, and followers can wait, but safety should never be a gamble. He called himself Mad Mike Hughes, a man who wanted to touch the sky, literally. An inventor, stuntman, and self-taught rocket builder, Mike had one lifelong dream: to fly high enough to see the curve of the Earth with his own eyes. For years he tested small steam-powered rockets in the Mojave Desert, gaining attention for his bold attempts and fearless attitude. Each flight was meant to prove something, that passion and determination could push human limits. In February 2020, Mike prepared his biggest launch yet. Reporters and a small film crew gathered near Barstow, California. His handmade rocket stood tall, painted with the words, "Research Flat Earth." It was part science, part spectacle, and all risk. The countdown began. Steam hissed from the rocket's base. The engines roared, and Mike's creation shot upward, trailing a white plume against the bright desert sky. For a brief moment, it worked, but then, something went wrong. The main parachute separated too early, fluttering helplessly through the air. Moments later, the rocket disappeared beyond the horizon. Emergency teams rushed to the scene, where they confirmed that Mike could not be saved. The flight he hoped would prove his dream instead became a symbol of human daring and the thin line between courage and caution. Today, Mike Hughes is remembered not for controversy, but for his relentless spirit, a man who truly believed in reaching for the impossible. His story reminds us that ambition must always walk hand in hand with safety. For decades, audiences had cheered for Joseph Burris, a California magician who wanted to be the next Houdini. He had talent, charisma, and ambition, but he also had one obsession: to perform a stunt so spectacular that it would make him a legend. In 1992, Joseph planned what he called the escape from death. He would be handcuffed, locked inside a clear glass coffin, lowered into a hole 6 feet deep, and then buried under several tons of dirt and cement. He told reporters it was completely safe, claiming he had tested it with lighter material before. Television crews and fans gathered around to witness the moment. As the crowd counted down, the glass box vanished beneath the mixture of soil and wet cement. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Then the surface began to crack. The weight was simply too much for the glass to hold. Rescue workers rushed in, digging frantically, but the pressure had already collapsed the chamber. When they finally reached him, it was clear the escape had failed. Joseph's dream of fame ended that night, not in applause, but in disbelief. He had been just 32 years old. The illusion he had hoped would make him immortal instead became a cautionary tale across the entertainment world. Never confuse courage with carelessness. Even legends can fall when ego replaces preparation. It was meant to be another routine day on a movie set: lights, cameras, and a simple action scene that had been rehearsed many times before. The year was 1993, and rising star Brandon Lee, son of the legendary Bruce Lee, was filming The Crow. He was 28 years old, standing on the edge of the fame his father once held. The scene called for his character to be shot by another actor using a handgun loaded with blanks, the kind used in almost every Hollywood production. Everyone believed it was safe. But behind that confidence was a dangerous oversight. A fragment from a dummy cartridge had accidentally lodged in the gun's barrel during a previous take. When the blank round was fired, it created just enough pressure to propel that fragment forward like a real bullet. The crew saw Brandon stumble. They thought he was simply acting. Moments later, they realized something was terribly wrong. He was rushed to the hospital, but despite every effort, he could not be saved. The world of cinema was stunned. An actor known for his discipline and potential was gone because of one technical mistake, a failure to double-check what everyone assumed was safe. The incident changed Hollywood forever. New safety protocols were introduced, and every prop weapon now requires multiple inspections before use. Brandon Lee's final film went on to become a cult classic, but behind every frame is the haunting reminder that one small mistake can turn art into tragedy. She was known for her breathtaking photos, stunning cliffs, windy beaches, and daring poses above the clouds. Her name was Sophia Chung, a young travel influencer from Hong Kong who built her online fame by living on the edge, literally. Her Instagram feed was filled with captions about courage, freedom, and adventure. Thousands of followers admired her spirit and the beauty of her images. But one afternoon in 2021, that spirit of adventure went too far. Sophia and her friends visited Ha Pak Lai, a scenic nature park known for its steep rocks and clear waters. As the golden hour began, she decided to take one more photo, a perfect shot by the edge of a waterfall. She posed near the drop, smiling as her friend lifted the camera. Then, in a sudden slip, her foot lost balance on the wet stone. In a moment that no one could stop, she disappeared below the cliff. Rescuers arrived quickly and carried her to safety, but the fall had caused serious injuries, and despite all efforts, she could not recover. Her followers were heartbroken. Social media turned her last post, captioned, "Better days are coming. They are called Saturday and Sunday," into a symbol of fragile irony. Sophia's story became a viral lesson for content creators worldwide: likes fade, but life doesn't come twice. Her passion for adventure inspired millions, but her final moment reminded everyone that no photo is worth the price of safety.